What's up everyone? Welcome to another video. We've seen a lot of this SBI Holdings talk about Ripple and using XRP. I wanted to, instead of going straight into the news, I wanted to kind of give like a historical background on SBI and ultimately show that all the conversations that have been happening have inevitably led to this point where now news is coming out about them potentially using XRP, or more specifically using XRP. So if you don't know already, SBI Holdings is a financial entity in Japan, and they've just shown this extreme interest in digital assets over the years. And actually, the relationship between SBI and Ripple goes back so many years that even SBI's CEO, Yoshitaka Kitao, even joined Ripple's board of directors. I mean, that's how far deep in the weeds they are with XRP and Ripple. So obviously, this relationship goes way back. And there's like this layer of trust where even their CEO wanted to join their board of directors and did. So if you don't think Japan is up there with one of those who is going to be one of those kind of flip the switch countries, actually very difficult to see any other way. You can see the UK, the whole thing about it starts in London, but it also kind of starts in Japan. They've got the kind of the faith in the big entities in Japan already have the faith there in Ripple. They've put their money where their mouth is for the last several years. And we're just coming to a point now where it's like, okay, the regulatory hurdles with XRP are becoming less and less of an obstacle. And, these relationships that we've built over the last several years, we can start acting upon those seriously now and maybe even starting to use the native asset that we know so much. And so what we've got now is basically ODL usage. If you don't know what ODL is, I'm going to do that very quickly. It's on-demand liquidity. The whole premise of XRP essentially is to be able to have an asset in the middle when you're converting different currencies. So if you've got yen and pounds, you need an asset in the middle so that it can just convert into the asset in the middle and then convert into the destination currency without each side needing to hold each other's currency. So there's a big problem in payments. XRP solves that with its on-demand liquidity, being able to dip in and out of that pool. And so that whole product offering, on-demand liquidity, is now going to be used by 3 different countries under SBI's remit. And those are the Philippines, Vietnam, and Indonesia. These aren't massive entities in the world, but it's really important to understand that, when I talked to the CEO of Uphold, he said it's hard to be the first to jump. We've had Palau, they've been the first to jump to use XRP, or at least create a stable coin on the XRP ledger. You're going to get these smaller entities that can kind of take bigger risks because they're not massive. Maybe they're not massive GDP countries. Obviously Japan is, but these countries in between, they're kind of open to the idea of a competitive advantage. And so first of all, the Philippines, it has a huge remittances market, which is obviously where XRP and Ripple actually tried to direct their business initially. The connection between Vietnam and Japan is really, really important. And that's an extremely strategic move for Japan there. And Indonesia is already known as having terrible payment infrastructure. And so creating these payment channels between Japan, Philippines, Japan, Vietnam, Japan, Indonesia, and creating this kind of like seamless system using XRP, the asset for those payments. This is ultimately going to show the rest of the world and all the other countries just how well these things are working. And how are they going to see that? Well, they're going to look at things like this affect the GDP of a country. Let me explain how that happens. So let's say the Philippines I have no idea what their GDP is. Let's say it's $300 billion. I actually looked now, and they have 100 billion, so that's super easy. So you've got $100 billion GDP in Philippines. The majority of their money comes from the larger entities at play. I think that's the same for most markets. But if you think the Philippines now, all of their transfers to Japan, that might be enough to move the needle. But let's say it is enough to move the needle. Those payments now, they can actually charge their audience, their clients, and this is kind of contentious and it's controversial, but they could charge their clients, the people in their banks, the same amount of money, but operate their systems for next to nothing using XRP. And so what you have there is an increased profit margin, and therefore, if there's more profit flowing around in the Philippines, that ultimately could change the GDP. Of course, there's more factors at play, and other countries are looking at these tests that they're doing with Philippines and Vietnam, wherever it is, they're looking at these pilot tests. This isn't a pilot, but this is an actual thing. But they're keeping their eyes focused on the results of these things. They might use GDP, they might use other metrics to gauge these things. But ultimately, what they're going to see is these countries becoming more profitable and performing better for cross-border payments than some of these big countries, allowing then the big countries to not feel like they're the first to jump, but be able to jump now based on data and performance of other people who have done it. So obviously we need to keep a close eye on the actual performance of this partnership with SBI and Ripple. Do these countries, by any type of metric, start to improve or make more money or rise on the rankings of cross-border payment countries? Like, these are the things we need to be looking at. Be very interesting to see if anyone's got a resource where we can find that information, because ultimately the adoption of XRP as an asset in this capacity, being used as a neutral bridge asset, almost all pivots on the performance of these partnerships. If it doesn't perform well, which I can't believe it wouldn't, the other countries are going to look for other solutions. And so it might feel a little bit like this isn't really new news. It is. It's like very, very recent. But because it's been several years in the making, we've kind of heard about SBI before. But this isn't just about on-demand liquidity. There's so many ways that Ripple are integrating here with these countries and with SBI. One of those is SBI VC Trade, which is a subsidiary of SBI Holdings. And it actually provides, this is crazy, it actually provides an exclusive platform for trading XRP, specifically XRP. So if you don't think XRP plays a huge role in SBI's kind of digital strategy, I think you're blind or deaf or both, maybe. In addition, these countries with small GDPs also will take benefit of using XRP for micropayments. So not these massive institutional payments of billions and trillions of dollars, but let's say you're buying a coffee, these micropayments, paying for a parking ticket, paying for street food, like while you're out and about. XRP is also going to be able to be used in these situations, highlighting how, we don't just need to do massive institutional payments here. Let's also see in Japan and in these other countries how it does for micropayments, because there are other assets that focus specifically on micropayments, and XRP in that capacity kind of gets forgotten about. But we're going to see here micropayments will be used in these countries, and we're just going to see again how they perform. And there's a bigger conversation out here about how things are moving and XRP and how it is defined in the DeFi space, in the whole landscape of DeFi around the world. And it's these partnerships like SBI filtering down into these other countries. It's also the Bank of France, who have publicly discussed being open about CBDCs and using that XRP to kind of fund DeFi pools. This is what I'm talking about with Project Mariana, for example. Like, all of this is emerging, and XRP seems to be in the conversation, in all of the conversations. Not to mention XRP has, or the XRPL has all the benefit of being very green and energy efficient, whether you believe in the carbon emission agenda or whatever it is. XRP's positioned very well for that. But it just seems to me like Ripple have put their fingers into every single pie, and maybe some of them don't work, right? Maybe micropayments aren't the best option. Maybe they are. And then we've got micropayments, institutional settlement. Like, I don't think it's reasonable to think that it's a XRP world where everything is XRP. But certainly if you look at it in percentages of like volume, it's hard to imagine Ripple not being at the forefront of those conversations, which we've already seen they are, and then utilizing XRP. We've seen the shift in real time here from these are conversations with Ripple and we're integrated with Ripple. I'm talking about the CEO of SBI going to the board of directors at Ripple. We've seen how there's a blueprint for how these things work. They go in for conversations in these countries. They potentially get CEOs in to the board of directors. We really need to do a breakdown of all of the board of directors of Ripple. Let me know if you want that as a video. And then as time goes on, when the time is right, XRP will be used. We are seeing it for the first time really in full force. Countries saying, let's use XRP. We've been talking with Brad and David and James Wallace all of these years. We've built a trust with Ripple. Now let's use that asset they keep talking about. We believe it. We believe them. We understand them. We know them. We have trust. There's no regulatory hurdle anymore. Let's put it out to 3 countries. That's literally how the conversation goes. So what are we looking at from here on? Well, now it's 3 countries now. What about if SBI say, well, let's do all of our payment channels? This isn't unrealistic, guys. This is not unrealistic. They've started with 3 countries. What if they say now, okay, well, Japan, UK, we're going to utilize XRP's on-demand liquidity for that payment channel. Japan to the USA, Japan to Russia, China, India, BRICS. This is how the cadence goes. This is how it all falls. And then you see that SBI have such a high competitive advantage on everyone else who's not using XRP. What happens then? Well, other people go, well, I actually know the CEO of SBI and we've been friends for 10 years. I'm going to go and have a conversation with him about this XRP thing. He goes, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, we've increased our GDP. Our business is up 600%. Like, we've got this competitive advantage. And he goes back to his company, Bank of America, and says, let's do it. Let's turn it on. Bank of America talks to Citigroup. Citigroup talks to JP Morgan. This is how it goes, right? It just takes a little bit of time. So I thought you might appreciate this more long form, thought out version of all this news. Like, it's not drastic like, oh, SBI and Ripple. It's more like, here's what SBI is. This is what the situation is right now. Here's why it all makes sense. And here's what I think's coming. And I think you can find that all to be very reasonable. I'm not being moon boy or outlandish. There's just a chain of events that happens. We've seen it time and time again. We've seen it from the past. We're seeing it in real time play out. And so I'm not being conspiratorial or crazy. I'm just following the chain of events over time. And this will be a common theme. We'll see this among lots of different countries. We'll see this among lots of different countries and companies, and I am very excited for it. But of course, at the end of all of this, there's a liquidity event that happens, hopefully. This is the speculation part. All of that other stuff, that's probably the least speculative element of this whole Ripple XRP thing, right? Talking about the business partnerships, that's not speculation, this is happening. The value of the asset, though, that is the speculation part. And if we do have some sort of liquidity event where the price goes wild for XRP and you're left with a whole bunch of money in your portfolio, there's going to be 2 types of people. There's going to be the ones that look at it and go, I've never seen this much money, I'm going to sell it all. They're then going to spend it on Lamborghinis, or they're going to, and this is a funny question, they're even going to go and buy houses for all their family members. But after all of that, even if your intentions were good, where's your money? It's gone. There's a third group of people though. Those are the people who are going to know who to call. They're going to have a team assembled. They're going to know what to do with the money. They're going to make the money work for them. They're also going to let go of fewer assets, their digital assets, and they're going to set up generational wealth. They're going to get into business. They're going to buy businesses, sell businesses, get into real estate, and have the connections to facilitate deals like that. If you are interested in that third category of person, and that's who you want to be, there is a link in the description to register for something I've got coming out. The long and short of it is I'm doing my best to put together a team for every single person, regardless of where you are in the world. There may be a bit of a delay as I try and source those individuals for you. If you're in a strange country, like if you live in like Kuwait or something, that might be a little bit harder for me. But I think the biggest hurdle to overcome right now is, who do I work with? I have no idea who to contact. I don't know if this accountant is the right guy to work with. I don't know if this wealth manager is the right person to work with. I don't even know if they understand XRP. So I've taken it upon myself to assemble all of that, plus so much more. Like that's just the little thing that I thought might interest you. There's so much more that's going to be going into that. I'll announce it soon. If you're interested in registering for when I'm ready to announce, then you can put your email using the link in the description. This covers all concepts like moving assets into a company versus keeping them as an individual, setting up businesses, where to custody your assets like private equity, venture capital, all of that stuff. I'm trying to build a central place for all of that. So again, if you're interested, link in the description. That's all for this one. Thank you for watching. I appreciate every single one of you for supporting my dream of becoming a content creator and making this full-time. I managed to leave my full-time job and come and work and deliver content like this as my full-time job. I can only thank you. Stay emotionless, and I'll see you in the next one.